I was really privileged this summer to have the opportunity to journey to an island called Chios. Chios is in the an area of the Aegean, very near Turkey. This is Turkey. So here is Chios here, and it's a wonderful island with a very long history of producing mastic, and it is the only location in the world where true mastic comes from. So knowing this, I've always been fascinated to go there. It's been one of my dreams to go there and see how it's harvested and produced. The European Union is really encouraging young people to return to farming and to villages and to more rural situations. So Vasilis and Rula, we became friends. They used to be IT people in Athens, and they said their lives were so stressful, they married, they barely ever had time to see each other. Their lives were just incredibly stressful. The village where they're now living is the village that their grandfather grew up in, and they went back to visit their relatives, fell in love with the place. Within 2 days, went back to Athens, packed their bags, got a European Union loan, and they're now living in a medieval mastic village, growing mastic and creating an ecotourism business. So getting to know mastic, the Latin name is Pistachia lentiscus vahia, and like I said, it's important that it is from Chios. Interesting that this tree grows on the island where we do summer school, on Chios. Does it produce mastic? No. It only produces mastic in the southern part of the island too, which is really also quite bizarre. So it's a particular environmental nuance of the southern part of Chios Island that is particularly good for these trees. I had absolutely no idea how it was harvested. I didn't know anything about it. And so when we're first out there wandering around the countryside, I kept seeing all this white stuff on the ground. I'm like, goodness me, is that from the tree? What is that? You know, I just couldn't figure it out. I thought, are they fertilizing? I hope it's not superphosphate. I'll tell you about that later, actually, the white stuff. And I really was very lucky in that I had a lot of opportunity to talk directly to mastic farmers. I talked to the people who run the mastic cooperative, and they say that there's a couple of specifics about southern Chios that produces it. And one of it is something that they call the dromage, which is, they say, this sort of moisture in the morning that coats everything. It is meant to be very, very important for mastic. So, and it grows very well with olive. So it's a beautiful landscape. You see, you know, just hillsides of lovely soft olives, and then these big, sturdy, gnarly mastic trees with their white base, and it's really very, very pretty. Harvesting the gum, they actually cut the tree. They call it wounding. And when I asked, well, how do you know where to cut it? He very lovingly stroked the tree and he said, I feel the veins. I was like, okay, can I feel the veins? He said, yeah, I feel it. I could not feel the veins. So there's definitely it's almost an intuitive, sensory thing that I'm sure you probably can learn after you've hugged enough mastic trees, but I didn't quite have it at the time. Once the tree completely, drips, and under the tree are many coagulated droplets and masses of the gum, there's 2 collection dates. Now the villages are really interesting. They're medieval mastic villages. They're called mastic villages because that is all they do. They produce mastic. And historically, it's a fascinating place. If anyone's interested in history, Chios is, it's wild. Basically, the Turks really wanted, the Turkish people, I should probably say, wanted mastic because it was considered, and I believe it is, an aphrodisiac. So no chewing of that, okay? And So the Sultan wanted lots of this stuff because, of course, he got it back there and he made mastic cakes and he fed all his harem ladies mastic cakes. And it was really a highly sought after product historically for many, many, many years. And so it was a product they fought over. In those days, if you stole even a small quantity of mastic, they would do horrible things to you, like cut your hand off and hang you and blah, 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 blah. So, you know, I mean, I'm really glad I didn't succumb to the desire to pick some up. It's actually very expensive. When we were talking to Vasilis, the young mastic farmer, I was interviewing him for an article I wrote, and I said, how many kilos do you get from each tree? And he and his wife laughed and looked at me and said, kilos? It's more like how many grams? This particular medieval mastic village, every house in the village is designed with this exquisite design where they paint the house with, now I have to get this right and I'm glad Robert's here because you probably remember, they paint it with the black first and then the white, and then they carve out the, they carve out these wonderful designs which again appear to be very influenced by, you know, sort of an Asian Turkish theme. I mean, the entire village is this way. We're walking, and it's a gorgeous village, tiny little streets, cobblestones. They were designed, they were walled cities to protect them from pirates and from people to come in and steal the mastic. And in order to escape from the Turkish people, when the Turks came marauding and doing terrible things, they have these like over the road arched corridors where you could, you know, without even having to get down onto the street, escape the town. So it's just a fascinating place. So as I was saying, the 2009 journey to Chios, there are the dates, June 18th to the 23rd. We're going to be departing from Syros, so we'll be leaving from summer session. Of course, you don't have to come to summer session as well, and it's an optional add-on to summer session. If you've already done summer session and want to come back just to Chios, that's fine too. It's about from Piraeus, which is in Athens, where you catch the ferry. It's about a good 8-hour ride on a ferry, Greek ferry boat. So bring your knitting. And bring a good book. We're going to be staying in the medieval village. We're actually going to be staying in a traditional mastic medieval village in traditional accommodation. We're going to be walking, we're going to be learning about the local flora, we're going to be looking at the wild plants of the area, we get gorgeous beaches to go swimming in. Day 3, we're going to take a walking tour, and this is actually again down this old traditional mastic trail, because of course in the old days the mastic was harvested, you know, way out on the hills, and the mastic farmers would bring it in by a donkey. So most of these are old donkey trails that we'll be walking. There'll be a mastic tree cultivation process demonstration, swimming. We're going to do a cooking class using mastic. This day we're going to be learning about mastic, plus we've also got some local experts, a homeopath and a chemist who use mastic to come in and teach us what they do with it and how they use it. We're going to be doing some dance classes and learn to do some Greek dancing, and we'll be having a party that night. And of course we've got to have time for shopping, so that will be our last day. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I just had a fantastic time there. It's a very, very interesting island. Tremendous, as I said, tremendous history, wonderful landscape, a lot going on.